Hello and welcome back to All the Gear, Some Idea. So we are back on the K100. This time we are putting a Twisted Brother seating cowl on the bike. I have already made some progress on how to fit it. What I didn't want to do was be swearing at the camera because I didn't know what I was doing. So I will go through everything that I've done so far to make it so that this will hopefully work. Now, it is an early bike, so there's a bracket that sits behind the fuel tank. I'll show you in a second. That has helped massively. If you have the newer style fuel tank, so I think it's like 85, 86 onwards, it sort of clips into the frame, so you would have to fashion something up to go across that. Now, I did speak to Twisted Brothers themselves when I was ordering the seat and asked them the best way they advised to fit it. Now, they sent me photos of people welding in brackets, of various ways of fitting it, and I've sort of taken inspiration from what they've done and made it work. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Now, I'll show you the seat. So here it is, the Twisted Brother seat. I didn't go for anything fancy. I just went for black stitching with the diamond stitching, black leather, black stitching. Now you can do pretty much whatever you want. I could have gone for brown Alcantara. I could have gone for white stitching. You can go for whatever you want to do. You can do it. However, my theory is that this is pretty neutral. So if I ever want to sell this because I was going to change something on the bike, this would be easy to sell than something that is designed probably for me. And I quite like the way it looks at the moment anyway. Now, the eagle-eye viewers may notice that this is now silver and it comes in a white gloss gel coat. So this has been painted silver, which does not match the tank. So the tank is, it was black. It's then been painted in Techno Violet from an E36, which I absolutely love, but it needs a lot of work to get the tank in a respectable condition. So what I have done is purchased a fuel tank for the correct year. Is the only one I could find available for the bike that would fit. It's not immaculate, but it is much better than this one. So this one does have leaks, and I have repaired it with some fuel tank repair filler, so it no longer leaks. So if anybody is looking for a fuel tank for their K100, which is the earlier version with the bracket at the back, do please send us an email, send us a comment, and we can sort out some sort of price, and I will send you more photos. It does need a lot of work filler-wise to make it so that all the imperfections have been worked out. However, there is no dents in the fuel tank, and the corrosion has been semi-sorted. So you could, if you didn't have a tank or yours is completely ruined, use it as a second tank while yours gets repaired, and so forth. So let's get this sort of mounted up, and I'll show you how I've done it. Okay, as you can see, I have already cut the frame down. So the frame has been cut at the back. I was going to do a video on that. However, you might want yours to be a little bit longer. You might not do what I've done with mine. So what I've actually done is cut it just after this bracket here. And then I've drilled 2 holes either side and fitted some indicators into the actual frame itself. So if I try to show you now. So as you can see, the indicator is now built into the frame. So it has some little blanks that cover the holes that came with mine originally. Drilled a hole through those and actually mounted the indicators into that. So that's how they now work. So to start off with, this is the bracket that originally comes with the bike on the earlier models, and it normally has some screws holding it in place here. Now I tried to fit it with those screws in place. However, the frame, this bracket, sorry, was too long and it wouldn't allow the seat to slide over it. So what I had to do was I originally cut them off and tried to then move the screws in a little bit, and it didn't like that either. It was still too tight. So in the end, what I had to do was I just cut it down, and then using the brackets, the half brackets that sit underneath here where the bolts used to sit into, I've then welded, as you can see here, it's now welded across there, and that's on both sides to make it so that that is now solid, and it is bolted to it is now solid to the frame, so it's no longer going to come loose. Now, if we remove the fuel tank, I've already taken everything inside out of the fuel tank. You can see we have the fuse box or the relay box that is obviously now obscured by this bracket. Now, that was a concern of mine, that potentially I wasn't going to be able to get in there to do anything with any of the fuses and relays and everything that's in there and the wiring. However, the way it's been mounted, it does mean you can click it up, pull it forward slightly, unclip it from the back, slide it this way, And now you can access everything you need to access within that box itself. So it's not actually restricting you from doing anything, because you can still get to everything in there. And obviously you can see the BEP 3.0 is fitted in there as well. And then same thing to refit it, you just slide it back up, click it in at the backs, and then at that side as well. And that is now a watertight box. Okay, so we're going to refit the fuel tank now, or the new one, shall I say. So we'll slide that in, put it on, let it drop into place. So that is the new silver fuel tank fitted to the bike. Now there's a few imperfections and there is a dent. However, I do believe that if I got somebody who did PDR and get that out, the scratch is pretty deep, but there is no corrosion on the actual tank itself. It's really clean inside. For a 40-year-old tank, really happy with it. And there's nothing to say that in the future I can't get it actually repainted. But at the moment, I'm really happy with how it is compared to the old tank. Okay, so I've got a bolt and a load of washers here. Now, I haven't got the original stuff that was fitted originally with the rubber washer and everything. So as it stands, this is all I've got. Now, I will be trying to find some way of fashioning a rubber grommet to sit underneath it, just so that it doesn't get too many vibrations to the fuel pump. Now, this is what I've made for actually mounting the seat to. So I've got two holes in here, and then I've got a hole at the back. Ignore this one down here, you don't need this one. So what I did was sort of fed this underneath here and lined it up where I needed it. So I've got two of those, angle bar, that I've got the holes drilled into it there, and a hole drilled at the back. So what we can then do is nut and bolt at the back here. That will then support that. When you then tighten the fuel tank down, it also supports the front. So I've sort of mocked it up in this way, and I will now show you what's underneath the Twisted Brothers seat. So under my seat, what I have done is I've got some angle brackets, some heavy duty angle brackets that are really strong, and then I have riveted from the other side 6 rivets. Now, when the seat is on the actual bike, you cannot see it is lifted up where the rivets are. I didn't want to do nuts and bolts because I felt that it would be too high off the seat, and I didn't want to have to drill into the bottom of the seat at the same time. So what I did was I lined it up, and then I cut these. So I've placed that on the bike, and then I've fed these underneath roughly where this bar is to make it so that I can then draw a line on these brackets and then cut them where they need to be cut. And I've done the same on the other side, and then I have drilled some holes, just some random holes in these, and then also, because it wasn't painted at the time, the metal, made a mark on the actual angle line, this stuff, and then I knew where to drill. Now, they are staggered, and the reason they're staggered is I didn't want 2 at the front, because then there's nothing supporting the back, and I didn't want 2 at the back because there's nothing supporting the front. So I find, as it is right now, it's pretty good. It does take a lot of faffing around, but as long as you're patient with it, you can make it work, and you might have to cut it a few times to get it to the right sort of shape, because it's not actually cut straight. It has to be cut at an angle because of the way that this flows on here. So what we're going to do is get those bars fitted to the bike. So we've got another one here, like so. And then we will screw them down. So I've got a lot of my stuff bolt-wise from a company called Fast and Fix and Fast, sorry, that I had seen online, and I've mentioned them in a previous video already. Not sponsored or anything like that, but they do allow you to order the exact amount that you want. So if you want one 10mm nut, you can order one 10mm nut. And it's really handy to go through Real OEM, which is in a previous video, to figure out what you actually need because they tell you the bolt sizes and everything on those. So we're going to nip these up slightly, just so they bite. There we go. And then we need to make sure before we tighten it up that these are sort of pushed together, because that's how I've managed to fit mine in here, is that those angle brackets sort of slot in and slide down and then line up with the holes that I've already pre-drilled. So just tighten these up. So they are now tight. So what we can now do is refit the Twisted Brothers seat. So like I say, with mine, I have to sort of line it up on both sides. So it slots down and then slide it across, and then it will slide in and it's sort of fitted. Now I'm going to put some bolts through them holes that I've already shown you, and then I will come back. Okay, so as you can see, it's now fitted and I absolutely love it. Now, with regards to a brake light, what we've got is a brake light that's pretty discreet, but when lit up, it does work really well. And I've used some brackets up here, some heavy duty brackets that are bent in a certain way and then joined together with some bolts there, and then it's glued on there. So the cable tie will be taken off once I'm happy that it's not going to fall off. That's how I did my brake light, and the brackets attached to where the seat mounts. We've also got the engine ECU fitted, and that is held on with some pretty big cable ties there and another one there, and that then stops it from moving around and jiggling and everything, but I do need to find a better way to secure that. Okay, so that is the Twisted Brothers seat fitted with the lights and the brake lights and everything, and I absolutely love it. Definitely glad I went down this route rather than any other route, but it's all personal preference at the end of the day. So the bike is now on the road. It has been ridden on the road. Its first 2 longish rides were not successful, which will be in the next video explaining what happened and how that's been resolved. We also need to look at, in a future video, the fuel level sensor, as this bike has 2 thermistors, one for 4 litres and one for 7 litres, and unfortunately neither of them seem to be working. I have obviously, when I've removed the fuel tank to change the level sensor over, had a look at it, and unfortunately it is broken. So the resistance it's getting back will be incorrect for what it's supposed to be, which is maybe the reason why it's not working. I know a few people have commented and asked if I've got it working, and the answer is no, but hopefully in a future video we can get that to work. So the bike, in my opinion, is not quite finished. I don't think it ever will be finished, to be completely honest. I think it's going to be something that I continue to work on throughout, hopefully, the next couple of years. But at the moment, I think I've owned it for about 9 months, and it's been a drastic change in what it was like when I bought it to how it is now. One thing I haven't gone over is why I went down the silver colour rather than the original colour that I was going for, which was Techno Violet. The main reason, if I'm completely honest, is the fact that the logbook shows it as silver. I wasn't planning on going down the silver route, but there was a silver fuel tank. It was the only one available, and I was like, do you know what, let's give it a go. And if I'm completely honest, I think silver, in my opinion, was the best option to go for. It makes the bike look a bit more modern than doing something black and making it look a bit older with the other fuel tank I had fitted. It sort of makes it, in my opinion, looking at it, it just makes it feel newer. So yeah, hopefully this video has been a help to somebody, or a help in the future to somebody who's planning on fitting a Twisted Brothers seat. If it has been a help, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Give us a comment, let us know. If there's any more questions you've got, feel free, fire away. And don't forget, if you're after a fuel tank as a temporary fix of some kind, let us know. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe.